Live on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. All right, dude, fix this up. Awesome. They're telling the viewers right now. How do I know it says right there? Okay, guys, so just so you know, we are on all these platforms. It's the same name, Chris_Ann_Lee_Mortgage. So please subscribe to these because we don't know what's going to happen with these platforms in the future. But we do want to continue helping you guys so that you know what to do when the time comes and you want to buy your home. Also, remember, fill up that chat box. Ask all your questions and thoughts about real estate. We're here to answer all of them. What FICO score do you need? What down payment do you need? What programs are available? Can you buy a house? I'm self-employed. I own a business. I started an LLC. All the questions that you may have and concerns and thoughts, please fill up the chat box. We will answer every single one of your questions. Even if we need to go fast, we will get there. So what's going on, man? What's new?
He talked. Wasn't good. Wasn't good. He hasn't actually formally said they're going to reduce the amount of cuts this year, but it's looking that way. I have to be careful about what I say because he's very careful about when he talks. But he did say this tends to be a little more stubborn than we thought. And yeah, if you read into that, it's a little bit of a problem.
Yep. Todd wants to know, do y'all do zero no down payment? So here's the answer to that. It's a very confusing question the way you asked it, Todd, because most loans, there is a down payment, but we don't do no down payment. It's usually a down payment assistance program. So if that's the question you're asking, the answer is yes. So what that means is every loan except for USDA and VA do need a down payment. So if you don't qualify for either of those two, we can do a program, FHA or conventional, that has a package where you come in with zero down, but it's accompanied by either a second loan or a grant, which means you don't have to put the down payment immediately when you start the home loan process and buy your house. But we have all the programs. We have some that offer just down payment. We have some that offer down payment and closing costs. We have some that fit pretty much everyone's needs because I know everyone's a little different. So we have a lot of programs. Let's see.
We are here helping you get a house in 2024, explaining the loan process, what you need to do, what credit score you need, down payment, debt to income ratio, whether things hurt you, help you, the little hacks to make sure you get the best deal overall. Cool. What do you got?
Nadine, thank you for the follow. Virgil Angel, thank you for the follow. LGJ says tips for refi with a DPA. That's down payment assistance.
Refi?
I believe he's with a program that has a down payment assistance. I believe that's how he bought his house.
So a lot of them want you to pay them back. They just want all their money back. And they say, hey, I helped you get in the house. When you try to refinance or you sell it, I want my money back. So the tip is pay them. That's it. That's all you can do. Pay them. There was a little while when some of them were retaining a second position, but I don't think that's happening at all anymore. So almost all of them that I can think of, you have to pay them all back. There's no way around it. So people love DPAs to get into the house. And to be honest, it's appropriate sometimes, not appropriate sometimes. But it's never free money. Don't ever think it's free money. You have to pay them back. They want their money back.
Ochun Girl says she's listening. All right, pay attention. We're going to get to that education.
We're going to teach you today, Ochun Girl.
Ashley, what about home ability? What does that mean? What is home ability?
I'm trying to think what that means. I don't know.
Specify, Ashley. Ask that question again.
Ashley. Come on. We want to help you get that house. NMLS 944-254. His is
1066958.
We're a lot.
LGJ, do you still pay for DD and inspections for USDA? What is DD?
Due diligence?
Designated driver? LGJ, what's DD?
Hold on. I'm trying to think what that would be. I'm trying to think even if I stretch it. So when you get a USDA, got it. Yeah, due diligence. That's what it is. Due diligence. Inspections.
Oh, okay.
Inspections, yeah. So I told you I'd get it. Told you.
All right.
Yes, if you're smart, you still pay for it. By the way, the USDA is zero down. There are two major expense sections in a loan. Part of it's the down payment. Part of it's the closing costs. That doesn't mean you'll get in for zero money. It means you can get in for zero down. There are still going to be closing costs. Those closing costs must be paid for. They can be paid for by the seller, the buyer, your uncle, your parents, the lender, the realtor. They don't like to hear that. But they can be paid for by anybody. The program, though, is zero down. So do you still have to pay for due diligence and inspections? Yes, nothing's free in this world. Come on.
Dina, what credit score do you need?
Dina, good question. So if we're going FHA 3.5%, I need 580. If we're going Fannie Mae Freddie Mac, 620. If I'm going VA, doesn't matter. You don't have to have a credit score. It can be 510. If you meet the residual and all other guidelines, you can still go. USDA, what would you say?
580.
580.
But that one has a tiered. That one's tiered. So,
Tell me.
So if you're 580, you can only go to a 41 debt to income ratio. If you're 680 or better, you can go to a 44. So there's restrictions inside of USDA. USDA is complicated, guys. It's not as straightforward as FHA or conventional. But we know them. We'll help you.
And the property has to qualify for USDA, not the buyer. The property has to qualify prior to the buyer. And then we have to use something called GUS. That's Government Underwriting System.
Yep, way different. Elite Gods, can I have gaps in employment in the last 2 years? Good question.
You take it.
I love it. So the answer is yes, you can. So many times people lose a job, takes them a month or two to find a new job. Maybe you, I don't know, a lot of things happen. But yes, you can have gaps. But here's something you need to pay attention to. If you've been off for 6 months, you need to be back for 6 months or more. Okay? That's the biggest hurdle right there. But if you're off for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you get back to work, you get your first paycheck stub, you're eligible to buy, providing you meet all the other guidelines of the loan. So when you do have those issues, please call us. Please, we'll clarify it for you. This is specifically for FHA. Conventional doesn't necessarily have one. It's going to be an underwriter discretion. But if you can write your story and give us a good explanation, we could probably get you in just like that.
Sounds like you've done some research on this one recently.
I have haters.
I'm not saying
Keisha,
that's good.
Why some lenders at for 680 credit score?
Keisha. Some lenders,
For credit score.
yeah, some lenders. So when I see the 680, what I first think of is down payment assistance programs. Because FHA, 3.5% down, meaning you're bringing your own money in, 580. Fannie Mae Freddie Mac, bringing your own money in, 620. But if you want down payment assistance, some of them start at 640, some are 660, some are 680. So when you say 680, if you have a lender who's telling you that, he's sending his business away, which is stupid. Stupid. Because we all get our money from the same spot. We all get our money from FHA. They write guidelines and the bank applies the guidelines. We get our money from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and USDA and VA. Those are the primary lending sources, and they have guidelines. Now, occasionally, you get a small bank who's just starting up, and they have overlays. Overlays, I mean, it's harder for that little bank to get money. But all the big banks go off the guidelines. And the guidelines are very simple, 620.
Yeah, everybody, a lot of questions today, so hang in there. We're going to get to every one of you. And give us a bunch of hearts. I need 10,000 of them today.
10,000.
If you like what you see here, 10,000 taps, please. Or punch it. Do whatever you want. Gloria Marin. My husband just started his new self-employment business. Can we still buy a house?
Oh, Gloria.
A good question.
Gloria, it's a very good question, but you're not going to like the answer. You're not going to like the answer. If he just started it, yeah, we need 2 years. We need 2 years. Now, if he was self-employed and he reported himself employed and then he started a company with the same line of business, there's a small chance I can make that work. Maybe. But if he just started from scratch, hey, I used to work for FedEx, and now I'm starting my own driving company. 2 years. We have to wait 2 years. So that's unfortunate, but that's true.
Yeah, this is starting a business. This is going self-employed. So you just became let's say, an electrician, and you're self-employed. They pay you $10.99. You need that history, guys. But the other way around, if you were an electrician and you were self-employed, and then you started working at Home Depot in the electrical department, and now you're W-2, once you get that paycheck stub, you can move right away. So don't let that stop you. Whoville Hater, can you use rental income for income?
Yes, you can. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Well, what's the catch?
Yeah,
Well, here's
what
the
is
catch.
the catch?
You need 2 years. 2 years comes up a lot.
A lot.
2 years of landlord history. If you can prove you're a landlord, then you rent off your primary residence. Let's say your mortgage is $2,000, but you rent it for $4,000, so you have a $2,000 profit. Well, if you cannot prove landlord experience, I can wash the $2,000, but I can't use the extra. But if you do have landlord experience, 2 years that you can prove, I can use the excess as income. So sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Nice. Ashley, coming with the clarification. HomeAbility is in Maryland and works with MMP for people with disabilities. I wasn't sure if you had any more info. Okay, so you're going to send us down a rabbit hole. That's what you're going to do, Ashley.
We'll do it.
Yeah, we'll figure out the situation. And the answer is probably yes. It's probably yes because we're licensed in all 50 states. We have specialty loan officers in all 50 states. So we got your back. We'll get you an answer. Hop in tomorrow. Ask that same question.
Whoever's throwing those hearts at us, we appreciate you very much.
We
Very
appreciate
much,
you.
man. We appreciate
How
you.
much?
That much.
All right. Whoville Hater, can you get an extension for a 1031 if you can find anything yet since the house sold so quick?
So Whoville Hater, that's a little strange, and that's not a easy answer, but usually when somebody does this with us, they go into a contract real fast and they can extend the contract. So that's kind of the hack. But this is an IRS issue. 1031 exchange is an IRS issue. You have to deal with your CPA and your accountant and the IRS. So 1031 exchange is just taxation situation. So yeah.
Raj Vinder shared the live.
What's up, Raj Vinder? Great to see you.
Yeah. In addition to these hearts, guys, share it too because that helps us. Seller God, thank you for the follow.
Appreciate
Who
you.
is Chris and who is Lee?
That is Chris. This is Lee.
There you go, guys. If you were wondering.
Yeah.
Daryl, what's the debt to income ratio for an FHA loan?
Oh, Daryl. Daryl, sound like a loan officer. By the way, if you're a loan officer, we appreciate you guys. We want you here. We want you here. We want realtors here, loan officers. We know your competitors. We don't care. We want you here. Daryl, you know this. Come on. When you went to loan officer school, they said, hey, 4555? No, it wasn't 4555.
3344.
Yeah, it's 3344. But when you actually get into the real world, you'll learn that you can push an FHA to 56.9999999. You can push it all the way to 56.9999. But your front end has to be 46.99999. So this is really, it's extreme because you're like, hey, I make this much money. Yeah, why don't we use over half of it for your debts?
Yep.
Don't worry about liabilities. Don't worry about gas, food. Who cares?
Yep. Usually the back end ratio is the one that we keep an eye on because the front end usually isn't a concern. But if you have someone that's looking for a lot of house, doesn't have any debts, and you're pushing to 56, and you're like, why is it's not approving? You're going to look at your front end and say, well, that's 53. Got to push that bad boy down to 46, guys. QU Solo. What are your thoughts on...
Solo. That's like Han Solo, but QU.
Oh, okay. What are your thoughts on new build versus old homes? Which is best? I'm
Okay.
assuming that's best. Yeah, best.
So it depends on how much money you have. QU Solo. Here's why. Because when you get into a new build, their only job is the new build. Their only job. One job. Make as much money as they possibly can. Make as much money as they possibly can. And because they're in the business, they know how to do it. They know how to do it in ways that you will not understand for years. I'll explain a few for you right now.
Ooh.
So let's just say this new build built a new complex. $400,000 is what they spent. They're selling it for $500,000. They're making $100,000 in profit. All right, cool. So there's one part of it. They make $100,000 in profit. All right, that's one. That's one part. Now, a lot of people know that 3% for listing side, 3% for selling side. On a $500,000 house, that's 30 grand. What they don't want you to do is bring in your own realtor because your own realtor will fight for you. What they'd rather have you do is use their realtor. Their realtor won't fight for you. So when you go in to see it on the weekend, you'll sign a little document that says, hey, we like to keep track of anybody who comes in. Oh, yeah, no problem. I'll sign it. At the bottom of that document, it says, I hereby represent that I have no realtor. Now you're already against it's already working against you. So here's the other part they don't want you to know. On the loan side, 3% on the front end, 3% on the back end. Gets a little complicated, but we work on the front end. That's where you acquire the loan, pay the loan officer, pay the processor, and that's where we make our 3%. On the back end, it's called servicing rights, but they have their own loan officers. So they want you to use their loan officers. Why? $30,000. So now they made $100,000 plus the realtor side, which is $30,000, and lender side, which is $30,000. So there's $160,000. Okay, so you think that's it? No. See, they put in a swimming pool, and they went to the community and they did a vote, and the community voted, yes, let's put it in a bond. What's a bond? Well, that means that they borrowed $10 million to put that swimming pool in.
That's an expensive pool.
And you have to pay for it over the next 10 years in your property taxes, but you don't know that yet. You'll learn it later. You'll learn, like, hey, how come everybody else is paying cheaper property taxes and mine is ridiculously high? Well, because you have a swimming pool. Yeah, but you didn't know this. You didn't even know to ask that. All right, so here's the next thing. They're going to have you join an HOA. Do you get the choice to join this HOA? No, you don't get a choice. No. So it's going to cost you $300 more a month for the rest of your ownership, forever, and ever. If it doesn't go up, but life says it's going to go up. So there's $300 for HOA. Now that HOA is going to come by, and what they sold you in the beginning, they said, hey, listen, we leave the backyard to your preference. You can do whatever you want with it. It's beautiful. This is yours. It's your blank canvas. You can make anything you want out of it. Mm-hmm. As soon as you move in, the HOA goes, oh yeah, by the way, you can make anything you want out of it as long as it's within our guidelines, and it must be done within the first 6 months. Wait a minute. What do you mean it must be done? Oh, yeah. You signed the contract. It must be done. If not, we'll fine you. What? We'll fine you? Well, no problem. How much is it to landscape the backyard? $30,000. Why didn't they do it? Because their job is to make money. And in the front yard. Oh, you didn't cut the grass? You get a fine. Oh, your car's parked in the wrong spot? You get a fine. Oop, you drove your car just a little over the driveway onto the grass? You get a fine. Now, I've given you all the downsides. The upside is you get a virgin house. Nobody lived in it. Ain't no problem. You don't know what the problems are anyway. And it's brand new. It's brand new, and usually in a beautiful community because there's builder. So if you have a lot of money and you're okay with extra property taxes, HOA, having to build the backyard, losing your realtor representation and losing your lender representation, it's probably pretty good. It's pretty good. But if you're trying to get the best value for your buck, I don't know if that's the right route. They've already built through all the problems. That's probably the better way to go.
The other side of it is, so new house, you don't have prior problems either. So you have no prior plumbing problems, roofing problems, rats in the attic, infestation of termites. So all that stuff that you might find in an existing home,
no rats in the attic?
You're not going to have. No, I at least unless one of the workers took it up there with their burrito.
Okay.
Daryl, what's the debt to make? Oh, we already answered that one.
We covered that one, yeah.
Estrella, hello, good afternoon. Can you email me after the live? Thank you.
The love, not the live. The love.
Well, that's between you guys.
I love. What's up, Australia?
Australia, do us a favor.
Yeah, you email us. We don't really kind of do that. We're not reaching out to people to say, hey, you want to buy a home? I'll help you buy a home. Please, will you please buy a home? We'll help you. We're really good at what we do.
Screenshot this. I'll give you a couple more seconds and we're done.
Yep. We're really good at what we do, but you got to want the house. We don't try and make you get the house.
Cheap tool reviews. I like that.
Yep.
I have an FHA loan. I would like to co-sign with my wife that doesn't have a home to buy another.
You take that.
Okay. Then co-sign for her, man. That's easy. Easy peasy. So here's the thing. If you think you're going to go FHA again, that's going to be very difficult, okay? It's going to be very difficult because you already have an existing FHA. Unless things have changed in your life. Like, for instance, your work sent you to another location in another city, another county that's 100 miles or more away.
100 miles?
Then there's an opportunity for FHA again. Yeah, for instance, you work in San Diego and you have a really good job, and they're like, hey, we're transferring you to San Francisco. Maybe you got a management position or something that makes more money. You're like, it makes sense.
More than 100 miles.
And then you have an opportunity for FHA again. Now, if she's going to buy conventional, no problem, no issues, no hassles. Just know that if you're going to keep that house, we got to figure out what you're going to do with it. If you're going to rent it, I can offset a payment for you. I can literally set it up so you guys are buying a brand new house like you don't own one currently, because that payment won't even factor as long as you're going to rent it. If it's going to be an investment property, different conversation, but we can definitely help you with that process. That's pretty easy. Cheap Tools Review. Hulu Hater in the house again. Can you explain assumable mortgage rates? I'm starting to see some sellers that list that.
Okay, Whoville Hater. This is a craze that's kind of taking over, but it's got a dirty, ugly side. So, in many loans, usually not conventional because there's due on sale clause, but FHA, VA, USDA, you have the ability for somebody else to assume it. Now, what does that mean? That means that when you bought the house 5 years ago and you have a 4% interest rate, 4% is pretty good right now, really good. Somebody could come in and go, hey, listen, I know that house is worth $500,000, but you have a $450,000 4% rate. I would really like that $450,000 4% rate, and I got 50 grand. I'll give you the difference. So now for the seller, if he can get out of that loan $450,000 and he gets his $50,000 in profit, pretty good for him, pretty good, because he doesn't have to pay realtors or whatever. However, in order to assume the loan, there's the correct way, and then there's the not correct way, which is happening a lot. And the not correct way is, hey, we'll just keep it in your name and I'll make the payments. No. One, that's straw man. And two, very wrong. The correct way is to go to the servicer and the bank and say, hey, I'd like to assume this loan. And they say, okay, it does have an assumption ability. So we need 2 years paycheck stubs, 2 year most recent bank statement, all the stuff that you would go through in normal underwriting. And then, because you're not using a loan officer, there is nobody to originate and walk it through. Nobody. And the bank really doesn't have an incentive to do it, because they don't care. They're getting paid the same amount no matter what. The only one who cares is you, the only one. So the problem becomes this. Hey, I want this assumption to happen, to close within 30 days. Who's pushing it? Nobody. I've heard of assumptions taking 9 months. Now, the problem with that is you got a seller who wants to move. And what do you mean it's not happening? There's nobody to push it. Nobody's making money on it. Nobody. The bank's not making money on it. In fact, the bank's losing money because they have to take resources that they would send elsewhere to get new loans to underwrite a loan that they're going to make the exact same amount of money if they did nothing. So the incentive is taken out of assumptions. And average assumption 60 to 90 days, but I've heard them lasting as long as 9 months.
Dang.
So if you're the seller, you want to get out of this house. If you're the buyer, you want to take over the house, but you got rid of the incentivized person, because when we close a loan, we make commission. So guess what we're doing? We're going, hey, let's close this on the 30th, just like we agreed. Come on, guys. Hey, Mr. Processor. Hey, get on this thing. Hey, loan. Hey, bank. Everybody, we push people because we're incentivized. That's just the way life works. So in an assumption situation, can it happen? Yes. Does it happen? Yes. Done correctly. But if you understand the mechanics of business, there's no real incentive to push it fast.
Janice Andrews, minimum needed for down payment on a second house. First home is paid off. Congratulations, Janice. Not very many people hit that level of achievement.
So Janice.
Andrews.
Okay, so Janice, if that house is paid off and you're buying a new primary, you want to know how much you need? 0. Wait, what?
Yeah, so I'm saying. What?
0. If it is your primary residence, there is a possibility we can use a down payment assistance program, and we can use your other house as a rental. That's a thought. Now, that's not the best method always, but that's the prettiest answer right now, which is 0. The best method, if you're going to use it as your primary residence, is probably going to be FHA, 3.5% down. You can't go Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac first-time homebuyer program because you're not a first-time homebuyer. You own a home. And that's home ready and home possible. So those are off the table. However, you can go primary residence conventional 5% down. What? 5% down. So you can go 3.5% or you can go 5%. And there is a small possibility we can go down payment assistance, which will be 0.
Yeah, there you go. Ashley, thank you for the love. Audrey Russell, I make $185,000 a year and an annual bonus of 35%. Audrey's a baller. How much house can I afford? 35% bonus? That's badass.
I'm trying to just do the math on that. that's like 185,000. You're at 900 grand easy. You might break $1 million. Yeah, if you're really at that level, congratulations. What do you do for a living, by the way? We're looking for part-time jobs. So, 185,000. That's very rare these days. I mean, I closed somebody who was a giant manager at Home Depot who made 300 grand like a month ago or something. But that's a very, very, very good income plus bonuses. It's amazing. 900,000 to $1 million, depending on two things. One, is that bonus consistent over 2 years? And two, what are your property tax bases? So if you're buying in Arkansas, tax base is low. If you're buying in Texas, it could be as high as 3%.
Yeah. Joe Pagas wants to know, how many loans do you guys do outside of your state? So percentage-wise,
24.
I'm going to say probably 75% right now
75%?
of our current loans that are in the pipeline right now.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing.
Could be a little higher, maybe a little higher. So majority of the loans right now are out of state.
Yep.
So we're doing a lot in Florida. We got a couple started in New York, Texas, a lot. We have a lot in Texas.
A lot in Texas.
Arizona, a few others.
I go into Nevada. I'm closing one in Nevada.
There you
Like
go.
next
Vegas,
week.
that's right. Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Living Gill 5. Is it possible to buy a house with a 560?
560 credit score or $560,000 a year income. So I'm going to assume it's 560 credit score. Is it possible? Yes. Is it easy? No. You earned that 560. You earned it. You didn't pay your bills on time. Somebody granted you credit and you didn't pay them the way you said you would. And it affected your credit score. And you can't go to the bank and go, trust me, bro, I'll pay you. And they pull your credit and they look in the last 10 years, like, hey, you haven't paid these people. Yeah, but just trust me, I'll pay you. They can mitigate that. You can mitigate that with a very large down payment. Very large starts at 10%. So, can you? Yes.
Hell yeah. Whoville Hater, can you explain how you will calculate debt to income ratio?
Very good question, Whoville
Very
Hater.
good
Almost like
question.
you're setting us up. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Set us up.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull your credit. And when I pull your credit, I'm going to see that you have $2,000 a month in expenses. $1,000 is a car, and the other $1,000 is credit cards and student loans. So $2,000 a month in liabilities. Okay? So we got that established. I'm going to calculate your income. You're kind of a baller. You make $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. W-2 straight $120,000 a year. That's what you do. $120,000. Cool. So your income is $10,000 a month. Your revolving liabilities are $2,000 a month. So I have all the way up to 56% to have your front end and back end ratio. So then I take 5,600, subtract 2,000. I got 3,600 left for your PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. 3,600 left will get me a $500,000 house, 550.
In that range.
five to $550,000 house. So if you just told me a couple of quick pieces and they were accurate, I can probably tell you about how much you can afford.
Rajvinder coming with the same question, so you just answered it.
DTI is
Yeah.
I calculate your income, calculate your debts, plug in the mortgage. That's debt to income ratio.
Cheap Tools Reviews again. Current home has ADU. We ran it out. I would like to rent out the main house as well as purchase another. So is this the one that said they wanted to have an FHA loan? Okay, cool. So yeah, that's what it is, man. So that means your whole thing is rented. Now, here's what you're going to think, though. You're going to think, my ADU's rented for $2,000. My house is rented for $3,000. I have $5,000 to use towards this new home. Now, the only way you'll be able to use any of that money is if you've filed it on your taxes for the past, how many years, Lee?
2.
2. See how that 2 keeps popping up? It's always 2 years for everything, guys. So, unless you have rental history, not 1 year, not 1 year, 8 months, not 1 year, 11 months, and we'll file our taxes in a couple months. We need 2 years filed taxes in order to see that you're renting it. And then, depending on how you file your taxes, because you have what you bring in rent, and then you have the expenses that the renter has by owning that property. Could be maintenance, could be a lot of things, depreciation, could be a lot of things inside of there that could take you negative. A lot of people use their rental properties to eliminate a lot of their tax liability. So if you are showing a negative, that's going to be a negative hit on you for your debt to income ratio. If you're showing positive, then we can use that money, Cheap Tools Review. So you may be able to use that income if you filed 2 years of taxes, and if you did, it depends on how you filed your taxes, how we're going to move forward. Either way, I can eliminate that mortgage, so you or even those expenses that you may have, and buy your new house as if you don't have another one, as you the co-signer for your wife.
Jamie Cabrera, I just graduated college. Do I still need 2 years? Can I use my college?
Jamie with the good questions.
Good question.
Love
Jamie. You can use your 2-year college with a few reasons, few exceptions. One, it has to be loosely in the field that you graduated from. So, let's just say you went to nursing school and you got an RN degree, but you started as a locomotive engineer. There's a problem there because it's not in the same industry. You don't know anything. But if you got a job with a hospital, the hospital's paying you $180,000 a year. That happens in LA a lot. So, $180,000 a year, one paycheck, new house for you.
Boom.
We've done it a lot of times.
College, like she went to nursing school, then became a nurse, and like one paycheck stub, she gets a house?
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Jamie, let's do it. What's your field of specialty? What's your expertise? Hoover Hater, new rules for realtors. Is that if you have open house, people have to sign saying that you have a broker, buyer broker?
It's looking that it might be that Whoville Hater. You're talking about the lawsuit. And it's a weird situation because they haven't worked it out yet. And there was a settlement date, and then the settlement date got pushed back. And I don't know how this is all going to work out. It could be, see, in the loan business. In the loan business, if you work for a bank, you're W-2. We're W-2 employees. We have to be. It's the law. So there's a situation where you can be a broker and you can get 1099, but even then it's a little wonky. But all realtors are straight 1099. If you're a realtor, you're straight 1099 because NAR had a lot of political power. But NAR just rolled over like a little roly-poly and took it right in the pocket. In the pocketbook. They took it in the pocketbook. So they've lost their representation and they are tabling paying realtors by the hour. What? Yeah, that's real. So what you're saying, we don't know that it's set yet, but it is a possibility, Whoville Hater. They're talking about it.
Yeah. TJ, thank you for the love. Keisha, thank you for the love. Daryl07 again. You guys should make a video on pros and cons for buying a new house. I'm sure we have one.
No, let's do it.
So if you go to our feed, guys, this is for all of you. If you go to our feed, follow us, look through all the videos, all the stuff that we answer here, we also answer in all those videos. Yeah. If we haven't done that one, Daryl, we're on it. Thank you for the
By the way, I'm kind of a big deal on Facebook, or wait a minute, TikTok.
Facebook.
On Facebook.
I'm kind of
a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal on MySpace. Whoville Hater, what are some income limits for 502 guaranteed rural housing loan program for you?
Yeah, damn, we went to 502.
Whoville Hater's like, okay, what else can I find?
I know, he's like, guidelines are online, we can get these,
What else can I find? I don't know off the top of my head. Do you know it?
They're AMIs. So, area median income, which means if you find a place in California, there are some, like Adelanto, there's USDA's in Adelanto, but the AMI is different, area median income in Adelanto, than it is in Mena, Arkansas. If you go to Mena, Arkansas, the AMI is going to be a little different. So it's going to depend where you're looking for that property.
Cue you solo again. Not sure if y'all have a video of new builds versus old. I like the way you explained it.
We appreciate you.
Once
Q
again.
Solo, yeah.
It's on the to-do list.
Yeah,
Sounds like we don't.
I think, yeah, we probably will. I mean, just because you guys asked that, it's a pretty good
Yeah.
situation. And those are real. These are all real. And it's not bad. I mean, some people have new houses. He bought a new build. Are you happy with your new build?
Yeah, I don't regret it at all.
Super happy. Did it cost you money that you weren't looking for?
Way more money than I ever expected.
Yeah.
And way faster than I thought, too.
Yeah. So, but he loves his house. I've seen his house. Beautiful house. Beautiful house. He's got an amazing pool. He's got an amazing backyard. He's got amazing shit. But he did say, get this shit, man. You know how much concrete costs? How much you pay in concrete? Like 30 grand or something?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a
Yeah.
lot. But here's what bit me. Here's what bit me, guys. Is when I went there, my agent, very good agent, by the way. I recommend you always have a badass agent on your side, not your cousin, your friend, or not even referrals from someone that you know. Make sure you do your due diligence on them, or ask the other professionals who they would recommend. But my agent said, hey, Chris, ask them if there's going to be a term that you need to upgrade your yard by, because a lot of these new builds in these kind of communities that are a little more upper scale, they do have these limitations where you need to get it done in a time period. So I did. I actually asked the rep at the office, the one that he always talks about screws you over, and I said, hey, is there a time limit that I need to improve my yard by? And she said, no.
Lies.
Then I got in, and I was in a year, and this is like during COVID, so things were a little more slow, and I got a thing in the mail that said, hey, you need this improvement next month, or else we're going to start fining you, like literally fining you. And then once the fines get to be so much, they put a lien on your house. So all kinds of crazy stuff. So I was able to get it done in the time period, and everything was fine. But there's a lot of gotchas out there, guys. So even if you're going to a new build, take your badass realtor with you, because they have the questions that they need to ask for your benefit.
Yeah, so between the two of us, we have a lot. Like, he bought a new build, so he knows, like, firsthand the cost and all the hidden fees and the, like, is your property tax base higher than...
Oh, yeah, way higher. Way higher.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then, like, I have not ADUs, Airbnbs. So I know the Airbnb process. I've got a second home, so I know we know this stuff firsthand. One, we deal with the loans, but we also felt them. And when we're buying our properties, we freak out like every other buyer, like, hey, is this going to close? I don't know. He comes to me, he's like, hey, do you think this will close? I'm like, dude, relax. We're in the business. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, but is it going to close? And I did the same thing when I was buying. I was like, hey, is this going to close? And he's like, dude, relax. You got it.
Why are you acting like a buyer?
I know. Why are you acting like a buyer? Anyway.
Everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through it. Audrey Russell's the VP of payroll. That's why she's a baller.
Baller.
She's like, one for you, one for
VP
me.
Of,
one for you,
she's
one
a
for
vice
me.
president. And not only that, she's like, hey, you better watch yourself or you're not going to get your paycheck on time.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
She can pull that card. And everybody's probably like, hey, would you like us to buy you lunch?
Danny D, I have $15K in my 401k. Can I use it for a down payment?
Danny D, yes, but that's not the question you're really asking. The question you're really asking is, can I do it without penalty and without tax consequences? So you will always have to pay the tax. Then there's something penalty. So your TOW, that's terms of withdrawal from your 401k company, they will tell you whether or not you can use it if you're vested. A lot of people have money in there, they're not vested, they can't pull it out. So, easy answer, we use 401k money all the time, but immediately when somebody tells me I have a 401k, I reach out and I say, hey, FedEx, what's your TOW for this employee? And they send me the terms of withdrawal. And I say, hey, you can draw out $11,000, penalty free, pay the regular tax, and you're good to go. We do it all the time.
Boom. Raj Vinder, if you're self-employed, how soon can you use rental income as income?
You do it.
Okay, Raj Vinder, once again, it's the whole thing that everything follows with a 2-year time period. It's always 2-year time period. Yours is a little different, I know, because you have established things. But as long as it's underneath the same corporation that you have established, we could use it now. So your new property that you're talking about, I think you got in probably, 4 or 5 months ago, something like that? Maybe a little more.
We're big Raj Vinder fans, by the way. We're big fans.
This
big
woman
fans.
right here is an entrepreneur like nobody's business.
Big fans, big fans, big fans.
Yeah. So for you, probably use it now. Probably use it now if you wanted to buy a new property. But for most people who are just established, when you say new, it's going to be 2 years. You have to establish that 2-year mark from that point on, and not just 2 years, guys. So let's say you started in November, okay? You need to go file 1 year of taxes for that year, and then 2 years, another year of taxes in order to get that, but that's not going to give you full income potential. So you may have to do a whole other year to show that you have that earning because they're going to average it. So sometimes it's a little more than 2 years. Chris, what builder did you use?
Who was your builder?
It was a smaller builder. I'll remember. Give me a second. If not, I'll give you a buzz.
It wasn't Lennar. It wasn't KB. It wasn't Del Webb.
You want to tell them the story?
Which
tell
one?
them the story.
Which one?
The story of when I went in, picked the house, got in the contract, and said I have my own loan officer. Tell them the story, man.
Okay, so now listen.
Guess who my loan officer was,
Yeah,
by
you're
the
gonna
way.
love this. You're gonna love this. So we were like, hey, he has my own loan officer, and like, yeah, but we still want to build you a quote and see if we can beat that. And I'm like, you can't beat it because like I'm his loan officer, and if I make commission, he gets money. So I'm like, you're not gonna win this one. I don't care what you guys do. It's not gonna happen.
So it went away for a little bit.
They fought us. They fought us every step of the way, all the way to the end. And finally, at the end, they're like, the client's like, I don't care what incentives you give me. I don't care what it is. I'm using my loan officer, which is me. And we fought them every step of the way. Went all the way to the president of the bank. And the president of the bank finally said, yeah, both of these guys are licensed loan officers, and he's choosing his loan officer. Yeah, we kind of got to let this go. Why? Because the law states you can choose these people. You're not forced. It's called steering. If they force you, they can't force you to use their site. So they try and incentivize it. They try and hardball sell you, and they use boiler room tactics, and you feel like you're in a timeshare sale. It's so strange. And I'm like, dude, why don't they let this go? I'm like, hey, take a look at us. Pull our NMLS numbers. We're not hiding anything. It was real clear. And the rules say you can't do your own loan because there's a conflict of interest, but I can do his loan. Yeah. So it was a fight.
So let me give you a little bit of hack. New build buyers. Let me tell you what I did. Okay. So when I first went in there, they said we're giving $30,000 in concessions. So this is back before COVID. $30,000 in concessions. I went in, I said, I have a loan officer and I have an agent. So I put them in the book. There's a book that you have to sign, right? Okay. That's the book that they say, hey, just sign in and take a tour. No, you're signing an agreement in case you buy a house. Know that. So when I went in, I knew the tricks. So I said, I got a loan officer, got a realtor. I also knew that the lady I was dealing with, not very high level, to be honest with you. And I'll be honest with you, there is some high level people at these communities, but for the most part, these are agents that can't make it on their own, so they join these communities because it's a guaranteed paycheck.
Dude, you're gonna get people
all these
hating
houses
us.
are gonna sell.
They're gonna hate us.
I only work with top 10 realtors.
Yeah,
anyway.
they're gonna hate us, man.
So there's that. So I go in, I lock in the deal. I lock in the deal with that purchase price, taking a $30,000 concession. But guess what I did with the $30,000? I said apply it to the principal of the house. So whatever the number was they were selling it for, I bought it for $30,000 cheaper, and I locked in the contract.
That's a hack, and most people don't know this hack.
Yes. After the fact, with him giving him attitude and fighting him with the loan, they said, we're not going to give him concessions. I'm already locked in the contract, guys. They couldn't do anything
The realtor
about
was
it.
good enough to go, yeah, you are. We're in contract. Oh, I'll destroy your whole system if you don't.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, yeah.
So we know the tricks, guys. So come to us. We'll give you the advice. Whoville Hater, give us the address so we can look it up and compliment you.
You have a stalker, man.
Again? Man. Did you underwrite your own loan?
No, you can't. We don't. We're loan officers in the system, in the loan system. There's a segment, and it's all designed to protect the borrower and the system, both of them. But there's a originator, and the loan officer has an MLS license. That's an originator. So they originate it. After you originate it and it passes a certain spot, it goes to a processor. But you lose control of the loan. After we send it to a processor, we don't have control of the loan anymore. So the processor now processes whatever that means. There's a lot to it. But the processor now processes it. They got a number too. So they have a license too. After they process it, then they lose control of it and they send it to an underwriter. Then the underwriter takes a look at the clean package and they underwrite the loan. So there's a process in all this, reasons for it, and it's all logical.
Yep. At 069_and.ram, I want to buy a house within the next 3 months. I was told I cannot use me going to school as verified income.
Okay, so I'm going to guess. Here's what I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess you're a veteran. I'm going to guess that you're using VA benefits. I'm going to guess those VA benefits are probably $3,600 a month. These are guesses. These are guesses. Now, you cannot use that. And the reason you cannot use that is it's not permanent income. When you're done with school, you can't afford the house no more because you don't have an income. You don't have an income that's going to go forward. We absolutely know when it's going to end. Those are a lot of guesses. Tell me if I'm right.
Yeah. All right, guys, fill up that chat box. Keep asking a bunch of questions. We're going to answer all of them, but it's time for a commercial.
If you need a badass loan, call a badass loan officer. You can reach your badass loan officers, Chris and Lee, at New American Funding. You can reach them by calling the number on the screen. They'll actually talk to you. But don't call it right now because we won't answer. We're live. This will disappear in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom. Hoopla Haters back. Is there any programs out there to buy a house and rent it out to low-income Section 8?
Yes, there are, Whoville Hater. There's a lot of them. But they're not primary. They're not FHA. They're not VA. They're not USDA. You're going to limit down to 2 conventional conforming, that's the actual term, which is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It's going to be second home. I'm sorry, not second home, investment property. It's going to be investment property. You're going to need 20% down. 20% down. Yes, you heard me right. 20% down. There's also DSCRs, which are not conventional conforming. Those are Alt QM. And there's a lot of Alt QM loans out there for them. However, there's a lot of people pushing that Section 8 thing. It's cute. It's cute. By and large, not viable unless you've got a footprint. If you've got a footprint and you already started it, these guys out there that are making a fortune, Tom Cruise, those ones that are making a fortune, they're selling courses making a fortune. I'm not saying they're not doing Section 8. I actually believe they're doing Section 8. But it would be like Chris and I going, hey, listen, I can teach you to be a 7-figure loan officer. You just have to pay me $8,000. At a certain point, if that $8,000 was taking over, I would still be a loan officer, but most of my income to buy yachts and Lamborghinis would be coming from selling courses. So, does it work? Yeah. Are there loans out there for it? Sure. Is it worth the fee? I looked at it deeply and I walked away.
You walked away, dude?
I walked away.
What's up, Dusty from NAF?
What's up, Dusty from NAF? Dusty, what's up, Dusty?
Okay, back to Andram. Daughter is using her SSI for income. Can I use it since 2010? I think receiving it since 2010 to buy a home. First-time home buyer.
First-time home buyer. You take it.
Okay. So, if your daughter, you're probably caring for your daughter, I'm going to assume. So the check is in her name but made out to you. Let me know if that's correct. And if that's the case, yes, you can absolutely 100% use that as income as long as everything else lines up and the data you're telling me is correct. You can use it for income. This is very common, guys. This is very common. There's a lot of income out there that you can use that you may not even think of because of the way you receive it. I'll give you the perfect one, the most popular one, IHSS. Okay, IHSS is income that you receive from taking care of it's usually a loved one that you're taking care of, but it could be anybody. AW in the house. So it's income that you make by caring for someone. So you're their caregiver, okay? And you receive paychecks, and you receive paycheck stubs, and you receive W-2s, and that is absolutely income. What are other incomes that you can use, Lee, that people may not think you can use?
If you have a VA disability and it's permanent, VA disability, permanent. So here's the catch. And a lot of people catch me, ask these questions. By the way, we're live on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We've got thousands, millions of viewers. Millions of fans. Anyway, so we get this question a lot. Hey, I'm going to school. Can I use my income coming from Social Security or from the VA or whatever? Here's the kind of rule. If it's going to end when your school ends, probably not. If it's permanent and going to keep going, probably yes. So, like if you go to school and the VA's paying for it, they do give you a stipend. They give you anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 a month. But it's only during school time, and because of that, I cannot use it for qualifying you for a loan. They want to make sure that when you get into that house, you can actually afford the house after you get out of college. So there's a lot of logic in here, and we're able to put that through. So, yep.
I'll give you a few more. So SSI, you can use SSD, Social Security, retirement for sure, alimony, child support. So all these different incomes that people receive to care for others, you can use.
So AW says, do you use automated approvals? Okay, yes, we do, but we have to qualify this. So there's something called DU and DUAUS, which is Desktop Underwriter and Automated Approval System. So DUAUS is when a licensed loan officer calculates your income. There's a special way to do it. We pull your credit, we put it into the file. We put all your liabilities, we put your assets in. And then we use DU, which is an electronic version, a computer version of saying, hey, you are approved. So most loan officers that are good will give you a DUAUS because they actually calculate your income, check your liabilities, check your hard stops, and then they gave you a DUAUS. However, if we want to go a step further, we send you to what's called TBD underwrite. TBD underwrite means to be determined, but you're fully underwritten. At that point, the underwriter will get a hold of the file and go, okay, I see what you did. Let me go deeper. Why would you go deeper? You answer.
Say that again?
I ain't even paying attention. That's what I thought. So the reason you would go deeper is somebody went to credit repair and they got a bankruptcy erased from their credit reports. So it's not showing up, but it's really there. And the underwriter will pull certain things like CAVers, like statement of identity. They'll pull certain things. They'll do a 4506T because if you give me a 1040, I don't question it. If you tell me, hey, I made $120,000 a year, here's my 1040 for 22 and 23, I don't question it. Do you know who does question it? The underwriter. So when you go into underwriting, they go, okay, cool, I see what you gave me. That's awesome. Now I'm going to check if it's the same thing on the file with the IRS. And you sign something called a 4506T, and they call the IRS and they go, hey, Joe Schmo says he made $120,000 in 2022 and $100,000 in 2023. What do you say? And the IRS sends the transcript to the underwriter, and if it looks the same, you're good to go. If it doesn't look the same, they catch it. So DUAUS is good if you have a great loan officer. Great loan officer. And if we have even a hiccup, even a question, I send it to TBD underwrite.
Yeah. Do automated approvals have a higher underwriting approval rate? So, A-Dub, it depends on who put the file together. It really just depends on who put the file together. But what are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to like a manual underwrite? Like someone that can't get a DU or an automated approval? So the only reason, okay, let me start again. Every loan should have an underwriting approval on it. Every loan, whether you're questioning it or not. Because when you run it, it's going to give you a refer or an ineligible if it's not approved eligible. If it's a refer, usually it's a credit issue. Usually, if it's an ineligible, it's because it's usually money. So you actually know where to go to in those situations. So when you ask, do automated approvals have a higher underwriting approval rate? As long as it's done correctly. But like he said, if there's any question about something, anything looks fishy, you're going to want to get it fully underwritten. The one hang up that many loan officers are running into, a lot of the loans that we get back that we're saving deals are variable income, guys. What's variable income? Okay, let me tell you what it is. You make $40 an hour. Okay, $40 an hour. And you work 40 hours a week. At least that's what you told the loan officer. And then we get your paycheck stubs. And 1 week has 47 hours. And 1 week has 43 hours. And one week has 37 hours. 1 week has 32 hours. And then occasionally you hit 40. Well, that's not 40 hours a week. That's variable income. So what they're going to do is average the last 2 years, which could really deduct your purchase power. But if your loan officer takes your word for it and sees 1 40-hour paycheck stub and doesn't look at the rest, they're going to cut your income in underwriting. So if they're going to cut your income in underwriting, what does that mean? Well, if you were pushing the ratios, if you were buying at your max, you no longer qualify. Now you may need a cosigner. You need to pay down the debt. You need to buy down the rate. There's ways of saving it, and we save loans all the time. And we figure out how to put it together, but you don't want to be in that position. You never want to be in a position where your loan is hung up because your loan officer didn't do a good job. So I hope that answers your question, AW.
And by the way, we primarily go to DU, which is Desktop Underwriter. But if everything looks like it lines up and it doesn't give me an approve eligible, any decent loan officer is going to flip it to LP. LP is called Loan Prospector. Loan Prospector is Freddie Mac. So DU is Fannie Mae. Loan Prospector is Freddie Mac. Their guidelines are a little different. But when you look at a loan, we can tell this loan should be going, but I can't get a DU on it. And then the first question he'll ask is, did you flip it to LP? And we flip it to LP, and sometimes we get it LP, which just means we got to sell it to Freddie Mac instead of Fannie Mae.
Yeah. Hey, I got this whole other underwriting system.
Yeah.
Andrew Ram back in the house. Credit score 720. Will I need a cosigner? Will I need a signer? I'm assuming cosigner.
720. That's a hell of a credit score. You won't need it from a credit perspective. That's for damn sure. You might need it from an income perspective, purchase power, or down payment, but not from a credit perspective.
Yeah. E. Andrade. Can my dad cosign if he already has a mortgage? He has no debt, good credit, but a 620 credit score.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
Very common.
See how that was?
Do it all the time.
Dude, yup.
Yeah. So, guys, if your family owns homes, as long as they make enough money to cover their debt, you can use them as cosigners. It's a very popular strategy that people are using, especially in days like today where interest rates are high, expensive houses. It's hard to get into just a regular neighborhood. Add your parents, add your cousin, add your sister, add your friend. Get people together to buy a house. Like I told my little brother the other day. I said, hey, you make good money. Maybe you can't buy a $500,000 house, but you still make good money. Get a friend or two, buy a house together, and in this next few years, we're going to have a little bit of a real estate boom because once interest rates go down, values are going to skyrocket. And I told him, if you no longer want those roommates anymore, have them refinance you out or sell the house, take the cash, move on. But at least you'll have a lot of money in the near future to make moves with. Okay, guys?
Mama said there'd be days like this.
Did she?
Yep.
Hey, Dub, what would happen if I get new debt during the underwriting process but still at 40 DTI?
Probably nothing. Well, you're going to freak everybody out.
Everybody.
Not a little bit of people. A lot of people. You're going to freak everybody out. Like, you're going to call your loan officer and we're going to get an alert. And we're going to go, hey, this person just took out a new credit line. We're going to call you up and say, hey, did you know you just took a new credit line? The first thing we got to do is call the buyer's agent. And we're going to say, hey, the client just took out a new credit line. Do they qualify? I don't know. We're trying to make it out. We're trying to work it out. We have to see the status. Okay, cool. Because we don't know how you're going to use that credit line. You could max it that day and it could be problems. Everybody's going to freak out. Because once you tell the lender that's disclosure, the lender has to tell your realtor because they need to be prepared to negotiate in the event something happens. Title's going to have to know. The only one you hope never finds out is the seller and the seller's agent. You try that they never find this out because they sold to somebody 100% qualified. However, if it didn't mess up your qualification, everybody's going to freak out and you're going to go, oh, just a little turbulence. All right, we'll land it. No worries.
It fits. Whoville Hater, man, I'm loving you. Where is your office located? Can people come in?
Dan, people come in. Yeah, I know. Dan. Whoville Hater, we love you. Riverside, California. If you put New American Funding, Riverside, California, into Google, it will come up with 1120 Pierce Street. 1120?
I don't know our address.
I think it's 1120 Pierce Street. And we're that gigantic building that says New American Funding on it. And then Chris and I have the two big offices right as you enter the entrance.
Yeah, so just knock on his window.
Well,
Celeste Tiger 950. We are getting paid $20 an hour. What's the best loan for getting land and a trailer house? Let's change all that verbiage.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Let's change all that verbiage.
Let's change a lot.
So here's what we're going to do, Celeste. You're not going to buy a trailer house and you're not going to buy land. You're going to buy real estate. But if you're looking for a manufactured home, which is like a trailer or a mobile home, but it's special because connected to this manufactured home is an anchor that's going to anchor it to the earth called a permanent foundation. And as long as it has a permanent foundation and the proper paperwork filed with the county, like a 433, that says that an engineer went out there and inspected it and made sure it's done correctly, it's connected to the earth and it's called real estate. And now you're buying real estate. So you can do that. Whatever your income is, whatever your debts are, we can get you qualified, but there is a route for you to buy manufactured housing, and many of these have a lot of land. We're doing a lot of these that have acres of land, so you can absolutely do that. So
and Ram, do you work in Texas also? Yes, we do. Actually, my primary residence is on Lake Travis in Texas. So spend a lot of time in Texas. We close a lot of loans in Texas, a lot of loans, and really, really, really know Texas.
All right. Whoville Hater, can you use multiple mortgage brokers? Brokers.
You're gonna fund it with one. You can shop, but you're gonna fund it with one. So two different ways. If you're the customer, the buyer, then you can shop with different people. Only one can fund it because it's only one. But if you're the loan officer, Well, I can shop to Chase, to Wells Fargo, to Freedom, to AmeriHome. I can shop to anybody I want or use the New American Funding proprietary line. Hope I answered your question.
Hey, Dub, I consolidated my student loans, so they showed up as paid, but I have a new loan servicer. Will it show up maybe 30 days? But my IDR payment is $10 a month. Interest driven. Income driven.
Income driven.
That's good. Good
It
job,
depends on the
Dub.
type of loan. Some loans are allowing interest driven payments. Some of them, rare, but some of them want fully amortized. So every loan is a different scenario. We have to look at it.
Yeah. And Ram, this is for you. Go ahead and screenshot this. Yes, you can absolutely set up an appointment. We are in California, so if we might need to do something over the phone or online, which is the majority of the way we do business, but we are looking forward to meeting you if we can. We want all our clients. We want to meet them. We want to shake their hand, look them in the eye. So go ahead and screenshot this. Or if you're interested and don't want to talk to us, go to the link in the bio. Click on apply for a home loan now. We'll get it. Once it's done, shoot us a text message. That way we know to get on it and you'll be top of the list. Ready to hit it, dude?
You know what? We've been Chris and Lee. We appreciate you. We'll be back.
Happy Tuesday.